Section 1, Audio Introduction. Welcome to Summerhall and to the annual group exhibition 2025. This section contains a short audio introduction that is approximately 2 minutes long. Summerhall is a historic building in Edinburgh that was once a 20th century veterinary school. It's full of high ceilings, wooden floors, stone staircases and long corridors. Since 2011, it's been a vibrant arts centre, a home to the Edinburgh Fringe, and filled year-round with creative energy and character. This is the annual group exhibition's inaugural year, and it features over 60 contemporary visual artists selected by an open call. The show celebrates a wide range of artistic styles and practices, highlighting the breadth of contemporary visual artists working in Scotland today. The show will be held from July the 26th to September the 21st, 2025. It is open Tuesday through to Sunday, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day, and is free to attend. All the works on display are for sale. Please ask for more details. The artworks are installed across 3 of Summerhall's unique gallery spaces: the Sheens Gallery, the War Memorial Gallery, and the Lab Gallery. All 3 spaces are within a minute's easy reach of the central foyer, and step-free access is available. After you have listened to this introduction, you can choose to listen to Section 2, which contains a more detailed orientation to the building and an overview of the exhibition. You can also choose to listen on to Sections 3, 4 and 5, which contained more detailed descriptions of each of the 3 galleries and selected artworks. Section 2, Orientation and Overview of the Exhibition. This section contains an orientation to Summerhall and an overview of the annual group exhibition 2025. This section is approximately 5 minutes long. Orientation. Welcome to Summerhall and to the annual group exhibition 2025, a showcase of contemporary artworks across 3 of Summerhall's gallery spaces: the Sheens Gallery, the War Memorial Gallery and the Lab Gallery. This guide provides a detailed orientation for navigating the building and accessing the exhibition spaces, with brief descriptions of each of the galleries. Summerhall is a historic arts venue in Edinburgh, housed in a former veterinary school. Its public spaces retain much of the building's original character, with dark wooden panelling, period features and grand architectural elements. Over several buildings and 3 floors, it is home to many performing and visual arts spaces, cafes and bars. It can be labyrinthian to navigate. However, all 3 gallery spaces used for this exhibition are within a minute's easy reach of the building's main foyer. So, if you are entering from the main entrance on Summerhall Place, ascend the 9 stone front steps and pass through the doors into the central foyer. This is a grand wood-panelled hall with dark columns and a wide central staircase ahead of you. To your immediate right is the information desk, where a friendly assistant can orientate you. And just to the left of this desk, there's a door through the boutique shop that leads into the Sheens Gallery, where you can begin viewing the exhibition if you wish. Or alternatively, from the foyer, with the main entrance behind you, walk forward about 12 steps until you get to the foot of the staircase, and there you'll find corridors extending off to your left and right. The right-hand corridor leads quickly to both the Sheens and the War Memorial Galleries. 12 steps along the left-hand corridor, you'll find the accessible lift on the right, which provides you step-free access to the first floor and the Lab Gallery. If you are using the wheelchair accessible entrance, approach from Summerhall Square through the side gate. It'll take you a minute or 2 to cross the courtyard to the buildings on the other side. Take a straight line with the Royal Dick pub on your right, and then turn left onto a long concrete ramp that will take you directly into the ground floor of the building, where the accessible lift is located. From here, either turn left into the corridor to cross the foyer and reach the ground floor galleries, or take the lift to ascend to the first floor and then access the Lab Gallery, which is just across the corridor from the lift. To reach the lab gallery via the stairs, take the central staircase in the foyer, the left-hand side flight. The first section has 19 steps, followed by a turn and then a further 12 steps. At the top, take the first door on the right and walk along the corridor, passing the main hall on your left. Go through the double doors and the lab gallery is immediately on your left. It's just opposite the accessible lift. Exhibition overview. The annual group exhibition 2025 features the work of over 60 contemporary artists across 3 distinctive gallery spaces in Summerhall and some even in the public corridor spaces. Each gallery offers a different sensory and atmospheric experience, and together they form a cohesive yet diverse encounter with contemporary art. The Sheens Gallery on the ground floor is a large double-height space filled with natural light. It houses 13 works spanning sculpture, painting, drawing, print, textile and moving image. The gallery includes a darkened room for film. Adjacent to it, across a corridor, the War Memorial Gallery is a warm internal space without windows. It is softly lit with warm spotlights and creates a contemplative atmosphere. Around 20 artists are featured here, with works in painting, drawing, collage, print and photography. One sculpture occupies the centre of the space, while the walls and cabinets are densely hung at eye level. The Lab Gallery is located on the first floor and presents a large-scale museum-like display. With natural light from 3 enormous windows, the space features 3 vast glass-top vitrines filled with sculptural work. Additional wall-based works provide rhythm and contrast. This room was once a laboratory, and the room retains industrial features such as exposed pipes and hanging fluorescent lights. Each of these gallery spaces has its own section to follow, with detailed descriptions of featured artworks. Section 3, Sheens Gallery. This section will provide a detailed expanded description of Sheens Gallery, one of the 3 galleries within Summerhall that house the annual group exhibition 2025. This section is approximately 8 minutes long and will feature a description of the gallery and 4 selected artworks. Sheens Gallery can be found on the ground floor of Summerhall, adjacent to the foyer, and detailed descriptions of how to locate it can be found in section 2 of this guide. Sheens Gallery is a bright double-height space with large windows facing the street that allow in the subtle buzz of traffic. It has old wooden floors and high white walls. The natural light in the room shifts with the weather and is complemented by quiet, warm spotlights that shine from above and focus on each of the 16 artworks that span sculpture, painting, drawing, print and textile. It is a roughly square room that has been subdivided into 2 rectangles of 2/3 and 1/3 by a temporary white wall that stands perpendicular to the windows. The larger section has the floor space of about the size of a single garage, and the smaller, narrow section behind the temporary wall has the feel of a slim, intimate nook, and is partly a darkened cinema space for showing moving image. The room can be entered from 2 points, either from the foyer through the boutique or from the corridor on the right-hand side of the foyer. These 2 doors are single door size and face each other on either side of a corner of the room. Regardless of whether you've come in from the boutique or the corridor, the entrance opens directly into the larger 2/3 section of the room, and here a sculpture rises immediately in front of you. This is called Presence over Prescience and by Alana Mulligan. It is a sculpture made from metal and fabric and made in 2025. It's made from twisted metal rods, long and sinuous, rising in branching forms. Evoking organic growth or tension, it is an abstract meditation on connection and distance. The rods are partly covered by fabric, the translucent skin of stretched nylon, like flesh-coloured stockings. There are two separate forms to the sculpture, each one delicate but strong, almost like curls of metal smoke or climbing plants made out of steel. One of them reaches up to about 120 centimetres, torso height. The other towers above you, curving up to about 2 metres high. The forms snake gently towards each other, as if in conversation or a confrontation. Their balance feels impossible, precarious, but also quite strong and intentional, like that of a tree. They change as you walk around them. They're never quite the same from any one place, and you feel their presence in your rib cage and in your spine as you stretch and bend or arch or stoop. The roots are spread across the gallery floor, so please be aware of your footing and take a wide circle around them. Behind the central sculpture, on the wall to the right of the corridor entrance, is a huge rectangular commanding painting of about 2.5 to 1.5 metres. This artwork is called Break Up Ice Cream Tub and is by Hattie Quigley. It's oil on canvas and it's big. If this was a dining table, you could squeeze 15 people around it. And the painting is filled to bursting with expressive brushstrokes in dark blues, browns, purples, giving it a cool, dark, strong colour palette. It holds a rich theatrical drama to it. Although slightly abstracted, you might sense a pile of bodies on a vast, dark, spotlit stage. Glimmers of flesh, light bouncing off skin in strange, bright flashes. Look closer, and you can begin to spot body parts in the pile. An eye, a hand, maybe even a torso. The references feel ancient, painterly, full of art history, Goya, Titian. But there's also an immediate, troubling and visceral scene, something like a dream that you half remember, or a night out that you'd rather forget. To the right of this painting and round the corner is the entrance to the darkened AV space. It's small, maybe just the size of a generous wardrobe or box room, and it's entirely painted black. On the wall ahead of you, slightly above eye level, is a glowing screen that's flanked by 2 small speakers. Only 1 or 2 people can fit comfortably in this space at once, and here there are 3 film works that show one after another and continually loop. One of the films is The Dark Rainbow by Juliana, created in 2023. It runs for about 6 minutes. The film uses poetic audio description and creative subtitling to guide you through a slowly shifting circle of abstract rainbow imagery set against a black background. It reimagines the rainbow as a metaphor for climate anxiety, inviting you to just feel colour rather than simply see it. A small artwork hangs on the wall between Hattie Quigley's painting and the door of the AV space. It is called Vacuous Connections by Jenny Mason from 2022. It's a small embroidery, no bigger than your forearm, and it's hung in a black rectangular frame. The surface is pink velvet, and embroidered into it in black stitches is the title, Vacuous Connections, in cursive text. It's delicate and deliberate, subtle, a bit like a whisper in textile. The remaining works in this gallery are hung on the walls. They vary in size and media. There's painting, print, textile, with a collective palette that feels bright and spring-like, greens, pinks and other fresh hues. Much of the imagery is abstract or dreamlike, with a sense of fluidity between landscapes, figures and patterns. From the Sheens Gallery, you can either exit into the corridor and turn right and find the War Memorial Gallery approximately 12 steps along the corridor on the second left, or alternatively you can turn left and go back towards the foyer. Section 4, War Memorial Gallery. This section will provide a detailed, expanded description of the War Memorial Gallery, one of the 3 galleries within Summerhall that house the annual group exhibition 2025. This section is approximately 8 minutes long and will feature a description of the gallery and 3 selected artworks. This gallery space can be found on the ground floor of Summerhall adjacent to the foyer. Detailed descriptions of how to locate the War Memorial Gallery can be found in section 2 of this guide. War Memorial Gallery is accessed by exiting Sheen's Gallery, turning right and walking 10 steps down the corridor that runs from the foyer. The entrance is on the left, through the wooden doors with 12 small glass panels beneath a gold-lettered sign. It is an interior space with no windows or daylight. Instead, you're held in a quiet warmth. The light here is soft but deliberate, cast from warm spotlights mounted in the centre of the high ceiling. They bathe the space in an almost reverent glow. It feels like you're in a jewellery box. The gallery is square, 12 steps by 12 steps, just large enough to imagine 2 cars parked comfortably side by side, but instead of engines and tyres, you're surrounded by stillness, spotlit artwork and their stories. The floor beneath you is a smooth polished wood that gives the space a warm glow. The walls around you are painted a warm dark grey, rising to mezzanine height. Imagining a square, you enter this room at the bottom left corner. Ahead of you and to your left and far right, artworks by 20 artists wrap the room in a continuous band around 3 sides of the square. They are hung carefully at eye level, each one lit to draw your attention. There's a quiet rhythm to their arrangement, large works beside small, intimate moments beside monumental gestures. The 4th side of the square is behind you and to your immediate right, and is lined with glass-fronted cabinets that house more works like quiet treasure chests. There are diverse artworks in this space by 20 different artists. Most are 2-dimensional, paintings, prints, collages, drawings, photographs, apart from one floor-standing sculpture in the centre of the room. Stand still here and let your eyes drift across the colours. To the left and centre walls you'll notice earthy tones, purples, browns, ochres. To the right the tone shifts. Now it's black and white, monochrome, images full of contrast. It's as though the room breathes in colour from one side and exhales it desaturated from the other. Now standing with your back to the door still, walk 6 steps forward along the left wall, towards the 9 o'clock position of the room. Here you'll find an artwork called The Wastelands by Oscar van Heek from 2024. It's a long, narrow photograph, black and white, digital, panoramic. Framed, it's about the size of a single bed at 2 metres long, although the actual image is narrower at 66 centimetres high, like a widescreen film still. It shows a landscape photograph of marshland, flat and lonely, where water and low grass merge and tangle. The ragged-edged pools reflect a low, heavy white sky, and rising from the landscape are strange, oversized, otherworldly bubbles, floating like apparitions. It's eerie and empty, and a little bit magical. Carrying on around the room in a clockwise direction, in the centre of the far wall at 12 o'clock is an abstract painting called Waterfall by Emma Somerville. An almost square rectangle that's approximately 2 metres wide, it commands the space around it from its central position. It's a loosely painted gestural abstraction in layered strokes that suggest an enjoyment in the motion and substance of the acrylic and oil paint. As the title suggests, there is a sense of downward motion and force as blurred vertical brushstrokes and drips fall from a gentle diagonal sweep of a high horizon line. These marks are in contrasting jewel-like hues, so there's complementary swathes of sapphire and orange, plum and sunflower, ruby and turquoise, all simultaneously confident and compliant. Above the horizon, a soft opaque grey fills the top third of the composition, its heavy influence attempting to smother the brightness of the falling colours, like a sponge on a tap. It appears in drips and smears, below amongst the saturated choir of sliding hues, dirtying their clarity in smudges and wipes. Moving round again clockwise, in the central position on the third far right wall of the gallery at 3 o'clock, you'll find a small black and white photographic image by Patricia McCormack, titled These Birds Are Gone Now, from 2022. It's just smaller than A4 in size and landscape rectangle, like a greetings card. The image is black and white, and it's made from 35mm film with digital collage and framed simply in a wooden frame. At first glance, it's a still life. A traditional metal kettle sits on top of a range cooker. Imagine a dark, shiny, traditional cast-iron Arga-style cooker, the kind you'd find in an old-fashioned kitchen. The image is cropped tightly, so only a portion of the cooker top and lid is visible, a kettle and saucepan on the hob at the right of the image, and a light-coloured towel hanging over the lid. The bright, shiny surface of the kettle contrasts with the darkness of the cooker back and top. Strikingly, balanced on the kettle's handle is a little bird, perhaps a cuckoo. It's displaying its dark back with white-tipped feathers, and has one dark eye fixing us as it looks over its shoulder. It's playful, surreal, full of quiet humour, a domestic scene made strange and potentially magical, like a visitation or a spell. From here you can browse the remainder of the varied works in the room, and then return to the corridor by passing back through the door by which you entered. Section 5. Lab Gallery. This section will provide a detailed, expanded description of the Lab Gallery, one of the 3 galleries within Summerhall that house the annual group exhibition 2025. This section is approximately 8 minutes long and will feature a description of the gallery and 4 selected artworks. The Lab Gallery can be found on the first floor at Summerhall, across the corridor from the accessible lift or close to the top of the central staircase. Detailed descriptions of how to locate the Lab Gallery can be found in section 2 of this guide. The work of 30 contemporary artists animate the Lab Gallery with a vibrant mix of mainly sculpture, but also photography, textiles and painting. The result is a visually rich and materially diverse presentation that explores contemporary making. The Lab Gallery itself is a really distinctive venue, a long rectangular room that has a unique character. One whole wall is almost entirely made of windows, 3 monumental panes that stretch from shoulder height to nearly the ceiling of the room. They face the street, so the space is alive with the soft flicker of natural light and the distant murmur of passing traffic. You enter through a door on the opposite wall facing the windows. The width of the gallery is between the 2 walls and is about the width of 2 traffic lanes. The length of the gallery is long enough to park 4 or 5 cars in a row. It was once a working laboratory, and the room still bears remnants of its industrial past. Fragments of old machinery, exposed pipework, fluorescent tube lights hanging from chains. These traces give this space a sense of history, as do the room's most imposing feature, 3 huge glass-topped display cabinets. They dominate the room, each actually big enough that you could fit a whole car inside. Their glass vitrine-top tables, sitting atop sturdy blue lacquered metal legs, and they're at once scientific and museum-like. They each stretch out from the wall of windows deep into the room, 15 feet or more. They're placed at regular intervals perpendicular to the windows and create corridors of floor space around them, the width of your outstretched arms. You navigate this gallery, therefore, in long, slow loops, like walking around the teeth of a 4-pronged comb. Each cabinet holds sculptures and objects from 17 artists in a museum-like presentation on table-height surfaces. The works vary wildly in material. There are wood and wax, ceramic and glass, rubber, perspex, and fabric. Each object is isolated, yet somehow connected, like artifacts in a newly imagined museum. So, reading the room from left to right, the first cabinet, closest to the door, houses a quietly cohesive collection of sculptures and objects inspired by natural forms, branches, feathers, webs, rendered primarily in monochromatic ceramic and textile. The effect is contemplative and finely textured, evoking the quiet complexity of organic matter. The second cabinet introduced bursts of colour and wit. There's glazed ceramics, live edge perspex, rubber, and other unexpected materials that come together in a vibrant, playful combinations. At the far end of this section, positioned beside the window, is an artwork called Fluid Form Glass Drips by Ames Truscott. It's a striking small-scale installation that cascades over two white cube plinths. 3 bright neon yellow live-edged perspex discs contrast with 4 clear, hand-blown glass forms that evoke the tension and delicacy of dripping water. Each element measures approximately 45 centimetres in length, like the length of your forearm. This hybrid of neon and translucently conjures both science fact and science fiction, part chemistry set, part frozen flow. The third cabinet, furthest to the right, sustains the energy but takes a darker, more provocative turn. At its far end, just before the space curves into the final corridor, is Arms Manufacturer by Chad McHale, a mixed media sculpture from 2024. From behind, it looks like a small figure, about 50 centimetres tall, humanoid, and with a smartphone for a head. It's wearing a long red coat. From the front, the coat opens to reveal a golden bullet-shaped torso and erect phallus, with miniature missiles and fighter jets displayed like wares. Underneath its stiff puppet-like Pinocchio legs lie the ruins of a flattened city. This work isolates the archetype of profiteer, whose pleasure in personal enrichment is undisturbed by the destruction that they cause. The brazen erection becomes a metaphor for unrestrained greed, violence, and dominance. Along the left-hand wall of the room, and beneath all the windows, smaller table-height vitrines echo the museum-like language of the main cabinets. These display works in painting, photography, ceramics, and textiles on a more intimate scale. One example is Becky Brewis' Quick Photo from 2022. These are tiny sculptures that look exactly like old-fashioned Photoshop envelopes, complete with handwritten names. Objects from a time when photographs were still physical things that you waited for. Though made entirely out of ceramics, the illusion is precise and playful, blending memory, material, and mimicry. Her work can be found along the first prong of the comb in the first cabinet along the wall. Wall-mounted works by other artists populate the right-hand side of the room and the far wall, and even the ceiling, injecting texture and colour into the gallery's perimeter. Bold gestural paintings and richly layered textiles contrast with the stillness of the vitrines. At the centre of the wall opposite the windows, adjacent to the entrance, along the handle of the comb, hangs She Who Came Riding with the Whale's Shadow by Tatiana Titova from 2025. This large embroidered appliqued canvas teems with hybrid creatures, part mammal, fish and bird, arranged against a bold polka dot background. The piece is a riot of colour and shape, predominantly in ochres, reds, blacks and greys. It's richly patterned and textured, with swirls of fabric and paint, making a visual narrative that feels like a story, vibrant with symbolism. The lab gallery is so full of art that some works even spill out into the corridor outside the space. Too much for one visit, maybe, it might feel necessary to return, like when visiting a museum. But this is not a display of the past. Instead, it's a living catalogue of contemporary sculpture and material practice, an evolving document of process, curiosity, and possibility from Scotland's contemporary artists. From here, you can exit the lab gallery into the corridor and retrace your steps, either by the lift or the stairs, to visit the other galleries or to exit the building.